What's goody, what's goody, what's goody? It's your boy Donnelly Divine. I am up here today with Sigma Uno and Mr. Nice Guy. You ain't very nice though. And tonight's topic is, do we create or conform? Now, with that as well, I already know Sigma, you're gonna have a lot to talk about on that one.
Right.
Like you're gonna talk more on the create rather than the conform part. But with it, hey, Mr. Nice Guy, give yourself a little introduction.
How you doing, everybody?
Color people time.
Oh. Who's this?
Let her get herself together. She's still muted a little bit. I'll pull her up once I see that she's on there. Oh man. There we go. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear.
All right, sweet. Hello, Roxanne. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not bad at all. I'm gonna go ahead and have y'all each do a little introduction real quick. Keep it short and brief. Like if y'all want to speak y'all truth and tell y'all story, we can do that at a later date. But right now, just a quick little introduction. Who you are, what you stand for, what's your beliefs.
All right. Go ahead. Someone go first. I got to get my son in order. Go ahead, go first. Okay. I'm listening.
All right, copy. Sigma Uno.
Well, wow. Where do you start? Some short and sweet. I'm very deeply into spiritual power, spiritual alignment, and self-reliancy, and knowing yourself. That's kind of the basis.
Okay. Roxanne?
I would say that I'm new to my spiritual journey and walk. I'm learning about myself, so I would say that I'm in a space where I'm ready to learn and grow more about myself, and that's where me and Danley align with each other in our friendship. So I'm excited to be here.
Hey, Mr. Nice Guy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lawrence Leon Conley, aka Mr. Nice Guy, aka Leon. I am a real quick introduction. I am a private investigator licensed by the state of Minnesota. I've been working in the private sector for quite some time now. And when it comes to my life journey, to keep things short, sweet, but simple, I am a continuous, perpetual student of this thing called life, ever growing, ever evolving, and changing to suit a better version of myself, everything that endures and that pertains to, and not limited to.
Okay. That was short, sweet, but a lot at the same time had a lot into it. So with it, I personally know all y'all that's on the panel. I've got history with all of y'all. Like, me and Lawrence, we've had some fun doing things with pew-pews back in the day.
Hold on. Hey, man, confidentiality, man. Confidentiality. The stipulations, the time and stipulations ain't up on that. Okay.
We've had some fun in the past. And then with Sigma Uno, I'm like, this man is he's a father figure. Definitely big mentor. He's teaching me a lot on the daily, even when he doesn't know it. I've got like those child eyes, just like even when his narcoleptic self just drops and starts sleeping randomly. Yeah, I said it. And then I'm like, yo, Roxanne woman has one of the kindest souls. And I'm like, and with the thing that I recognize about her is that I recognize in myself, it's often people who are the nicest who have gone through the most in life. And I mean, that's I was able to relate with her, where even though she didn't like tell me anything when I first met her, when you know, because again, in order to be the way that very, very genuinely kind individuals are, is because they know what the dark side looks like. And with that, let me go ahead and roll this in. I'm Donnelly Divine. And with that, I did many introductions. I'm not doing another one. So we're going to roll into the topic. Do we create or conform? Now with it, what is your definition of conform? We'll start with Roxanne, ladies first.
Oh, I want to hear everybody. This is my first panel ever. Like, I go last.
All right. Mr. Nice Guy, what is your definition of conform?
Ooh, man, put on the spot here. I would say in the context of the conversation I think we're about to go into, I look at conformity as a somewhat, I would say conformity is a necessary evil that could easily be defined as a pseudo type of surrender to societal standards, definition, and norms for those that lack character and insight.
Ooh, he said lack character and insight.
Interesting.
Okay.
That lack character and insight, yes.
What you got, Sigma?
It's what drives the chattel paper. Every person outside of the 1% is considered chattel paper. We're being sold and bought on the stock market. So that is the basis of conformity. We're here to serve a purpose for them, whether it's to purchase a roll of tissue or jump in your car, put gas in it. Everything we do, they have their hands in it. And the government structure, I believe, is the prime example of a system that we kind of conform to.
What you got, Roxanne?
I would say I kind of I align with both of those. I mean, conforming to the society, our set standards. Sometimes we tend to go along with society and what other people are doing and never step outside of that. You kind of conforming to whatever is going on.
All right. I took the liberty to go ahead and look that up. The definition that I ended up finding for conform was to act according to or be obedient to a rule or norm. So I mean, pretty much. And I'm like, when it comes down to it, I'm like, you look at life in this day and age and how everybody's dang near meant to conform to society, to the government, or even to your parents. I know of a lady named Heaven, and me and her had a discussion once before about literally we are living a natural, we're not living a natural life. We are living a life that is normal based off society, and with that we are literally conforming to what is the to the societal norms rather than doing things that we know is natural. For example, any other things that are born, they are not taught how to live their lives, but yet human beings, we are taught how we need to act, how we need to move, how we need to talk, this in such and such place and such time. I'm like, we're really getting and conforming to the things that the higher ups, the elites, whatever you want to call them, are pushing down onto us. And I mean, it's all has an agenda, but at the same time, I'm like, when do you actually sit there? And I'm not trying to say fight the system. I mean, I'm not about to be labeled a terrorist or anything. When is enough enough? And when do you actually try and take back your soul? Pretty much. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you know, I think I talk a lot about this because I'm sort of kind of in the process of leaning back from the chaos of all of that. The hard part is, in order to get there, you have to partake in things that they have in order to start working in that direction. The thing that comes to my mind immediately when we talk about this is you have these shows that are showing people that are moving off the grid, that are living in the woods, they're gathering their goods and everything together to make sure that they're taken care of while they're out there. They're building houses, log cabins, whatever, but they're out there, they're making a move from societal norm to a traditional way of living. Everyone, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said we're at this place to where everyone is, and the reason why is because years ago there were options, and when I say there were options, there's a group that I delve headfirst into understanding slavery, segregation, all the rest of this junk at one point, And when I delved into it, the majority of the people that we call our like our actors, the people that we kind of look up to, comedians, whatever. Um, there was an opportunity for us. When I say us, I mean the African American community, to be able to either continue in an independent nature or to conform with what the United States had to offer as far as us merging or the removal of segregation on the surface. The when I watched this video, man, and I'll have to forward it to you because it turned my stomach. I saw the very people that I've looked up to, Dick Gregory, and other people in this group of people that made this decision that completely padded themselves but damaged the rest of the community. And if we were talking about a tool of conformity, they were, for me at that point watching that, I realized that they were a tool of conformity. This whole the idea of this inclusion thing was nice, but I felt like it was begging something or begging a system that didn't like us to be a part of us and and it had to realize that if it was going to come to something, we were going to be in the same status that we were before they called it segregation. You see what I'm saying? So here we are still in the belly of that same thing. And it's like on every end, what we're simulating to is keeping us from being independently minded or to work as a community or to get together and do something to support our people outside of the trust that a system will do it for us. So I believe we're in this box, and can we get out of it? Yes, we can. Is the basis of the written word slavery or the system that was developed the end all to who we are? No, it isn't at all. My proposal on backing up is being supported by each other. And that's kind of the beginning. And it's hard because we're all people, right? And we've all learned a specific way. And our expectations are based on what we've learned growing up, or church, or street rules, whatever. We all we're all conformed to these ideologies of how we should live, and we my spiritual journey started me on this image of this place, and it looked ugly when I first drew back and took a hard look at the big picture. The the system of this, like we talk about spiritual. Let's talk about spirituality real quickly. When we talk about blaming, we talk about the devil. The devil's blamed for literally everything, right? All the downfall in the world, it's the devil's fault. But who's actually doing? You see what I'm saying? Who is actually doing the stuff? We can walk around and say, Jesus save us all, the devil is running rampant. That's not true. Men have choices. They have choices, and they make the choice that they make regardless of what it looks like or how it resonates with anybody standing next to them. But that's the biggest part, because the ones that are actually pushing the buttons to this shit, it's just not standing next to us. They aren't. So they understand. They understand only us from one perspective, is consumerism, and their pockets being completely fattened. But I'm not going to rant. I'm not going to rant. But that's kind of the basis of what I feel, or when I hear the word conformity, or just the idea of what the complete outlook of it is. You know, this is an ongoing conversation. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that right. Conform alone, that can go for a good little minute.
Right.
When it comes down to the spirituality of things, because I heard you bring that up. When it comes down to the spirituality of things, I feel like the way that they threw religion into the mix was another way that they literally took control over us as a people. And I'm not talking about just melanated individuals, because I'm like, you know what I call them, the culture vultures. So I'm like, but everybody else has some type of culture, and then you have these people who are notorious for going around and raping, pillaging, and doing all these other things to force what they want to believe, or to force their power upon other individuals. And I'm like, there's a book called Slavery by Another Name. And with that, I'm like, it's interesting because the fact that when it comes down to America in general, I look at other countries, and the way that they show the American people is always just as slaves. It's like they know what really happens, but yet in America, the Americans are unaware. How you doing, Samira?
I was about to work out.
She said, "Pick up heavy things, put it back down." With it, Roxanne, you still there? Okay, all right. Because I was
what's
trying
the
to
topic?
so you can
I don't know
talk.
what the topic is.
The topic is: do we conform, or do we create, or conform? Here, I'll put it right there for you. Do you see it?
Oh yeah, I see it now.
All right. So we're just talking about, what does conform mean to you?
Oh, I wanted to think about that.
Okay, think about that, because right now we're about to go on to creating in life. So what does creating in life mean? I want to. Roxanne, I want you to answer this one first, because you skipped out on the last one first. But with you, I'm like, the many times that we talk, you're constantly manifesting and trying to put yourself into a higher state. You're constantly creating things. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna have you answer this one first.
For me, create, I just think about creating and sending out my vibrations into the earth and this world and what I put out there. It goes, I like to lead myself in what I feel, and creating my own life, and whatever else around me will be good if my energy that I create is good and put out is good. So that's always my focus, is always just creating and manifesting type of life that I want. And if I live a good life and I make great decisions, and I bring happiness to others, then my life will be good.
So how exactly do you go about, because you said putting that good energy and vibrations back to the earth, how do you go about doing that? Do you just like stand there and be like,
no, I mean, I definitely meditate, but I think also just my mood, the way I treat people, the way I make people feel. If somebody's having a bad day and they're being mean to me, that doesn't mean that I have to treat them the way that they make me feel. I need to put down my level of understanding to what they're going through, and try to make them feel better. If that person's energy is on my same energy level. Sometimes there's people who want to drain you, so you can't help everybody around you. You have to know the difference. And those are those people's where those are the people who are more of those follower people, the people that we were just talking about previously, the social people who follow the world, and the TikTok people where the food's out because this is the thing that we're all going to eat today. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not eating the bugs.
So I just feel I create it by myself, the way I treat people that come out of my the energy that I release from my body to share with them, because we control all of that. So even if I am just standing there, yes, it's that vibration that comes out of my body. People feel feelings, feel emotions. So that's how I would say I create my life through my energy.
Okay. Law, Mr. Nice Guy.
The question is, as it is, what does it mean to create life?
Yes. What does it mean to you to create in life?
I think I'm going to be a little broad, but I think that is ultimately determined on. No. Let me start over again. I think it's continuing to be your authentic self, because more times than not, we hesitate on being who we naturally are in any given situation. I think that there's a certain balance to the idea of conform and creativity. There was a lot of things y'all said that I wanted to touch on, but some of it also sparked some conscious thought from me. And one of them is when it comes to balance. I believe that the idea of conforming that more times than not we're kind of born into in that we inherit. I think that gives us the foundation of what it is we don't want and gives a guideline of what we potentially can be based on our own perceptions, morals, and structures. I think that in order to create life, you have to embrace the other side of the coin in order to get a real world view on how to move forward in creating the life that you want to leave and projecting it out to others. That makes sense? That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question.
You're muted.
Oh, I'm muted? Oh, shit.
No, he's muted.
Oh, he's muted. Oh, yeah, you're moving your hands and talking.
Can't hear you.
I know.
Can't hear what
Thank you for letting me know. I was over here like it was cool. I'm like, you answered the question because I'm like, I feel that question to each individual person can mean something different, you know?
Yes.
And okay. With that, I love the fact that both you and Roxanne talked about how y'all put that energy out. I'm gonna let Sigma Uno go before I say what I'm about to say because I feel like he might end up touching on what I'm about to say.
So, creation for me, I agree with both of you. By the way, it's all a component of being able to create solidly. The difference for me in creating something and using something that's already there. Using something that's already there is not creating; it's using a tool that's already been created. Our power and ability, and you'll hear me say this a lot. Our power and ability puts us in a place to where when we speak or we determine something that is going to happen, we can make that happen. The problem with most when it comes to birthing a vision, I'll say this, because birthing a vision takes the entire idea of what you're going to create into consideration. Consider the tools that are needed to build it, the foundation that it sits on, the contents that are inside of it, what it permeates after it's completely erected. And all those things are components in being aligned or getting to the place of being aligned begins to put that in perspective for you because you're realizing the things around you don't measure up to how powerful you actually are. We're not allowed to think this way because we're too busy on the track that we've been given and seeing the vision, seeing the snippets of what we believe we want to be based on society and social things that bounce in our face on a daily basis. So I don't know if it comes with age in addition to
you are wise.
In addition to feeling like you're just tired of seeing people struggle. I'm an all people person. I feel like if everyone is being hurt or things are happening to people that shouldn't happen, give us free. Give us free. I mean, stop completely toggling us down with this stuff that makes us want to jump up in the middle of the night and go buy a Twinkie or a pizza. I mean, those are the things that we're dealing with. And when you begin to get to that place of complete alignment and solitude, you're going to look at this place and wish that you could only see the beauty of it and not the destruction that's happening in front of your eyes. And I think building from that perspective, I'll say that it takes willpower. You have to be so strong in your mind to keep plugging at this because there are things that are going to come to try to knock you off your kilter Don't shun the people that you know should be in your life, regardless of how you feel, but because of how you feel mentally about them, because that whole mental thing is locked up within all the rest of the stuff that's shown to us on a daily basis. So we have to completely wade through that. And at the end of the day, brick by brick, you start building this creation that's actually yours. And regardless of what people around you are saying or doing, it won't matter, because this is what you built, and you built it from who you actually are, not from what you're looking at or the things that are around you. It's hard. It's when I tell you it's hard, it's very hard. But the more connected I got spiritually, the more I realized the power in myself, the more sick I got about what I was looking at. Because the complete, think about this, the complete thing in regards to blasphemy is talking negative to each other.
Words have power.
No, think about this. If you're Christian based, the Bible says this: what you've done to me, what you've done to the least of these, you've done to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he talks about don't blaspheme, that means don't cuss the person standing in front of you because he's me. Does that make sense? So if he's me and I'm cussing you and I'm cursing you, you're basically cursing yourself. And that's what we're not getting. It's comical to some, and it's stuff that we watch, but it completely destroys our ability to reconnect with each other. You see what I'm saying? Because we're too busy putting these stereotypes to play in our head about who you are before I actually get to know you. And before you know it, you're hating for someone for no reason at all, period. It's counterproductive. You see what I'm saying? So in the midst of all of this, if you can find your way to building a life that you want, and it feels good. And I'm speaking from the rug being snatched from under me. I went corporate. I worked corporate for a long time. I was on my way up the ladder. I got stumbled by a couple of things, but 2008 hit, and bam, everything yanked from under me. And that was when the housing market crashed. So when that happened, I'm like, what the heck? I had my plan to do blah, 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 whatever. It never worked. It never meshed with me. It never mixed with me. I was always at war with someone that had a preconceived notions about who I was in their head before they asked me a question. You see what I'm saying? So it would have never meshed with me, and I would have never been as productive as I would have if I stepped back and say, okay, who am I first of all? Who am I? And what do I have to build on? Because I'm actually walking on sand. I'm falling everywhere I turn around because I don't know what I'm walking on. And I have to realize and figure out, what am I walking on? Or I need to build something to walk on to make sure when I step off, my footing is stable. You see what I'm saying? So that's the beginning of building, because otherwise you're falling all over the place. And just think about the highest point of your life when everything was great, and then something came and knocked everything down. That does not. It doesn't feel good. But it's a truth to. It's not our footing to step off on. If we are very clear about where we're going and who we are and what that flooring is, then we can walk on it, and we can walk as far as we want to and not really care about what everybody else is doing, because you're building from yourself. It's all. I mean, when I tell you it works, it works. It takes willpower. It takes willpower, and it takes a lot of pushing back against everything that they're pushing in our face. And when you get strong enough in a place that you're not completely tortured by societal norms, because it causes depression as well. The basis of all of this is a breakdown of you, so you don't build for yourself. And that's what this is.
So you're saying that creating in life should be for everyone, not just yourself?
It should be you focusing. So if I focus and I'm who I am, and I'm completely aligned, or not even completely aligned, I don't even know that I am. I'm connected to people, or you bump into people and you just have this great conversation or great camaraderie with, and you begin to be friends. So that's a person that you connect with. And 9 times out of 10, the vision that you have will be similar to a vision that person has. You see what I'm saying? It's happening.
I have a question. I'm so sorry. I'm listening to you. And First of all, let me say I appreciate everything you're saying. A few comments, if you don't mind. One, when it comes to developing this foundation of who you are, I think you were saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm paraphrasing, that you said that you have to be careful what you let in, so because it might cause depression and cause you to be distracted. I'm paraphrasing, but for the most part, it's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that happened to us as people. That's what I mean.
Okay. So when it comes down to the connections, because I love camaraderie and I believe in building authentic connections, but how can you differentiate between a connection that's being fruitful versus one that's being poisonous? Because more times than not, I can relate to a lot of people, especially with my background. I can relate to the good and the bad, and I can kind of fall in between. I navigate both.
Right.
However, it's hard to turn away from the idea of what this person that I connect with may perceive as successful and fruitful for them. In all reality, it's not. You were talking about how, we have to focus on, creating something that is authentic. I'm paraphrasing, so forgive me. Creating something that is authentic. Well, my question that issues challenge to that is, what is the perception of that? Because the wicked man can think that he's righteous in many ways because he is fruitful and successful, whereas the righteous man can be stuck in his ways, feeling like he's incomplete because he has no purpose. So where is the medium?
So my personal belief, personal belief that evil and good should not be, there's no separation between that. Again, let's refer to biblical. God created all things, right? Everything.
Sure.
He spoke in 7 days it was. During this time, being the all-powerful that he is, how did evil get in? Ask yourself that question. So we're battling against something that was actually created by the creator of all things. So that piece with regards to that piece with regards to the good or the bad person, it is also a dividing factor, because not one person is able to yank. I use this analogy all the time. An atom is the basis of an existence, right? What does it need to exist? Positive, negative, and neutral.
Sure.
When you pull one from the other, the atom no longer the atom ceases to exist. It can't be without all of those things. In our training, we've been trained to rip out that bad person. Oh my God, he's so horrible, and we can't focus on bad and good, because we can't fix bad and good. It was never meant for that to happen at all. There's a standard to everything that happens. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, whatever. Again, not to get caught up in all of in that specifically, but at the end of the day, I'm saying I don't believe that the focus of all of that is good or bad. I believe that we are innately endowed with power and enough to know who we're dealing with. Sometimes we decide we don't want to call them to the carpet. We know, come on, everyone knows when they're dealing with somebody that ain't right. Everybody knows that. And either you deal with that person and you stick around that person, or you cancel them. Some people don't like to cancel because, hey, oh man, maybe I can help him change, or maybe I can help him somewhere down his life so he doesn't have to be as ugly as it is right now with him. You can't change that. Your decision to stay there is a decision that you can change. But we
100% agree with that. I 100% agree with that.
But we all know, and us drifting to each other, and us seeing each other on the basis of what we're trained to look at societally is a problem, because we don't know if that person is going to change the complete dynamic of our life, and we're canceling him out or her out because we're looking at what the stereotypes say about these people. You see what I'm saying?
Hold on for a second before I think, and this is just my perception of it, and forgive
No,
me.
you're good. You're good.
I think that it's more than just the stereotypes. I think it also has to do with experience, trauma, and just your instincts on certain things.
Right.
Just to give you a little understanding of where I fall in the understanding of right and wrong, good and evil. And this is going to be very controversial. I believe that right and wrong, evil, good and bad, and all those things are concepts based on the limited to, but not limited to, the perception of the characters that choose to engage in either or.
Exactly.
I didn't met a lot of bad guys that do righteous things, and I've met a lot of righteous, courageous cowards. So I just seen it both ways. And I guess I never want to get lost. I don't think, I agree with you. I don't think we should be focusing on the initial cover of what a person is when we see them. However, based on our instincts, our experiences, and a bit of stereotypes, what we're told, it's hard not to do that. And I think that's based on, based on our own ability to survive. Certain things just trigger us, certain things that we recognize as, oh, I see these characteristics of this person. I want to be standoffish. With that being said, I think we need to break away from that programming and accept people. Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. I thought I was on mute. Sorry. I said fight or flight.
Oh, no. And I was going to say, accept people for who they present themselves to be and not who we manifest themselves to be in our minds.
Exactly. Because that's the big problem. Everyone's viewing. I mean, think about TikTok and all the rest of the stuff that goes out. Everyone's either liking or disliking. How are you giving that person that much control over your life? But it is, again, it's just the societal norm, and everyone's doing it, so I want to do it as well.
I'm still listening. I just got to put you on mute and get my family. I'm still listening, though. Keep talking, please.
No problem. But so for the most part, in working with people on the basis of behavioral health, I have learned to sit back and listen first. I can't just jump up and say, okay, your file said that you did this, that, and the other. I'm going to rip you apart, and you should be in a mental health facility. I can't do that, because I have to hear the person first and actually find out what was the reason why you did what you did, or what happened in your life that brought you to this point to make you feel the way you feel. It's important, because if the system would do what we do in regards to opening up to fully understanding people, then every neighborhood that we see, every suburb, every ghetto, all the rest of these places would not have these stereotypes. They're doing this on purpose. They're saying, if you're from this side of town, then we can expect this, that, and the other. If you're from this side of town, you're rich and you're wealthy. It's all division. It's all stereotypes. So our brain is relaxed to the point to where I don't really have to think. I don't have to think, because they already told me what I'm looking at. So your brain goes dead from that. Like, okay, what else do I need to be looking at? Why do I feel like I feel the way towards this person? And you completely dismiss that, because all of a sudden you already have the image that they gave you about what that is. And it's sad.
I want to say something. And it's interesting, because what I was going to say ultimately ends up falling into this. Oh, sorry. I was reading Mr. Nice Guys. He says, I believe it comes with age and experience. Wisdom can't manifest on age alone. But what I was going to say, I have it down here right here. The universal law of cause and effect recognizes that there's no good or evil in all is energy.
Right.
I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the 12 universal laws. I'm like, you have the law of divine oneness, how you were talking about with your community.
Right.
Then at the same time, you have the law of vibration, which also can tie into the law of manifestation. So I'm like, literally, the energy that you put out is what you're ultimately going to be bringing towards you. How you're talking about how sometimes you walk around, and the people who are in line with your life end up coming into your life. Like me, I feel like I'm the connector. It's like I always end up connecting people to people who will fall in line with whatever it is they're doing, or they really get along with.
Right.
It's interesting. But also at the same time, I'm like, you have the law of cause and effect. I'm like, so with that, it's like if you do this, there's going to be an effect to what you just did. Now, with it, the universe doesn't recognize good and evil, which I mean, we as human beings say good and bad, which I guess is another way of conforming, because there's things that we do in America that are bad in other countries. You know, I mean, when it comes down to it, you can't really say who's right, who's wrong, because even when it comes down to, let's say, wars and stuff, both sides are right, but the other side is opposed and saying that they're wrong. So it really there is no right or wrong. There is no good or evil. It's really what you put out into the universe, I guess.
Right.
Ultimately. There we go.
And I also think that you have to keep in mind that everybody has agendas.
Everybody has
but you can't. Everyone has agendas, and you can't be distracted by other people's agendas. You can only stay true to yourself. That's at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Just to add to what you said.
You'll be working to build somebody else's dream. Yeah.
With that, I wanted to kind of move on to the next topic. So, how would you describe the life that's being shoved onto us by those in power? Because I mean, we all are living in our own realities, and some people are just like, "This is amazing, it's blissful, yes, the government for us," or whatever, whoopty woo. And I mean, you have other people who feel a different type of way. My reality is not your reality, and your reality is not her reality, and so on and so forth. So I'm curious, like the way that the world is right now, and the people that we have above us. How do you feel? Describe your life individually. Describe your life. It's okay. You ain't got to all jump at once.
I think it's a great decision-making tool. For as long as I've been alive, I've just seen some traumatic changes in what I believed was a solid country, but you know, that's part of that is being black. you just get beat out of you. But at the end of the day, I think it helps me make the right decisions, because it helps me further to believe that you can't trust men. You can't, especially a collective of men that you pay to make decisions for you. We're paying them to make decisions for us, and they're spending money doing other things and having other affairs and all the rest of this stuff. And they're not fixing anything. They're focusing in on the wrong thing. They're making promises that are not kept at all, period. So it further puts in my brain that you cannot trust men. You can't.
I strongly disagree with that. I don't think it's about just not trusting men. I think it's not being able to trust people that have agendas and morality that conflict with your own.
And when I say men, I appreciate what you said. When I say men, I mean I mean there is a separation. There is a separation. If you claim to be a child of God, then you are a child of the Most High, and you are celestial. There are people that don't make the claim, you understand, or cannot make the claim, or makes the claim but can't solidify the relationship, if you understand what I'm saying. So the icing on the cake for me is the Most High is my dad. He's my pops. I can't be touched either way, but he also talks about the devices of men. He talks about the devices of men and the work of men's hands that are folly. He told us, he said, we're in this world, but we're not of this world. So what does that tell you? I'm here. I got something to do. I came with an agenda, but I'm not really supposed to be here. And eventually I'm going to check out and go where I want to go. So that's what I mean by trusting men, because
I understand what you're trying to say. And I also want to add the indifference of men as well.
Gotcha.
I think indifference causes more conflict than anything else in these situations. Yeah. Right. I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, you're good. No, you're fine. Oh, it's just their agenda, and no matter how you cut it, we don't have a candidate that's completely honest at all. Period. And again, but if we're looking at the real picture, none of what they're saying they can actually do without the decision of how many other people. So why are you putting this person in front of me saying he can make some changes? And he can't. He can build an administration, ask questions.
Well, when it comes to politics, that's just the sales pitch. I mean,
Exactly.
I can't, that's just the sales.
Exactly.
Y'all all know there's two things that they always say don't have a discussion on: religion and politics. I swear to God, in this podcast,
he's doing both. He's doing both. So I don't know. I'm just listening,
We talk about those two a lot, so we're gonna be hurting feelings.
But you asked me from my perspective, and this is the world from my perspective. This is what it makes me feel like. This is how I feel. I don't like to be played with. And I don't think anybody likes to be joshed around with, right? If we're gonna talk and we're gonna do some business, let's do what the hell we came to do, and don't BS me. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I've heard a bunch of it through one ear and out the other. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so before I answer the question, I want to give the young lady a chance to respond. She's been very quiet.
Come on, Roxanne.
Yeah, I'm letting y'all talk. So I feel like I'm this with the question. How to describe the life that is being shown? Okay. So I feel like this. Having children because I have teenagers, young men. I have five young boys that I'm raising. The life. I try to keep them out of the social media aspect and kind of the following of what the world that's going on around us and kind of focus within what's going on within our household and what we can control, because you can only kind of control yourself because there's so much going on, so much chaos from the media, so much chaos on TikTok. Everything that they see, all they see is negative. And so then that makes you want to have a negative life. Like, oh, life is so bad, it's so awful. And you stop focusing on yourself and the actual life that you're living in front of you. So for me, I try to have my kids more focused on what's going on within our household and the life that we're creating and the life that we're putting out there. Because when they leave me in my nest that I've created for them, this safe haven that they can always come back to, I want them to know that they create their own life and that the power and the media and the politics and all of that, that's going to happen no matter what. You control you. Because like you said earlier, is like somebody can be in power. I know we don't talk politics and there's a lot of
what I was saying, I was like, that's the two topics they say not to talk about, but we covered that a lot in the podcast. So this podcast, we're gonna be stirring shit, we're gonna be upsetting people. They don't give a flying fuck. Okay. Right? So yeah, speak your truth.
So where like all that political stuff, we can say that our voices make a change and that if we all rise up together that there's going to be a change, but we know that the life that we've lived in the last 4 or 5 years, we have seen no change, no matter who is in office. So I think that controlling your environment and controlling your choices, controlling your moods, that goes back to the previous conversation of conforming and creating. I'm creating a great life for myself. There's people who are above me, and I'm not going to conform to what the politics want or what other people want or what TikTok wants. I guess that's it. That's what I see. Like, I'm just not going to go and follow what everybody else is doing or what the power tells me that be what I should do.
Right.
Ooh. Let me see if I can do something. Just because she ended with that, I'm like, you know what? Watch out now. Let's hear what
their life, like that of the more typical conformist, is still shaped by an external source, that being the crowd. True nonconformity, in contrast, is displayed to the degree that one's life path and thus character are shaped by behaviors, beliefs, and values which are chosen for personal or authentic reasons. In many cases, this will entail the adoption of things considered socially acceptable, but the nonconformist adopts them because they understand their utility, while the conformist adopts them merely out of the desire to be accepted.
So with that, I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and throw this in real quick, just because the fact that we was talking about it briefly. And I need to remember how to, there we go. So with that, I'm like the non-conformity, like how you just ended with Roxanne. I'm like, when I served in the military. This is the best example I have. I served in the military. Everything was do as you're told and don't ask questions. Now, when it came down to it, I started realizing I was like, there's a bunch of zombies here. A lot of people are doing the same shit, but nobody has an explanation of why they're even doing these things. It's just this is how it's always been. This is how it's going to continue to be. But yet at the same
Drone
time,
mentality.
if you try and give another way to do something, now all of a sudden you're wrong. And we always had this saying, good initiative, bad judgment, which was something that always aggravated the hell out of me. I was like, how's it a good initiative and bad judgment? For me, it's like officers loved me, staff and COs hated me. Because officers were like, you're always thinking, you're always trying to figure out another way to do it. Staff and COs are like, why are you constantly trying to find other ways to do things? It's always been like this. This is how it's going to keep going. But there will be the same people who always say the Marine Corps is changing. You should change with it. It's like kind of walking contradiction there. Like during the end of my time in the military, I went from being a meritorious Marine to being looked at as a shitbag just because I always was speaking up about shit that I was seeing and that I was like, yo, that's not right. This should not be happening. And ultimately, I think where I messed up is I ended up turning the Marine Corps into I became the Marine Corps and I lost who I was as an individual. And that ultimately set me down a path to where I had to relearn who I am. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there was a day on my birthday where I ended up taking shrooms and I ended up having another voice in my head ask me, who are you? And I was like, I'm such and such such. And it was like, no, who are you? When you take titles away, when you take whatever the other people say about you and all that stuff, who are you? And I really had to stop and think. And I was like, dang. And ever since then, that's when I've been trying to get back to my quote unquote true self. For example, when I say true self, you look at children, they do what they love doing, regardless of who's looking, because they're doing it for them. I'm like, us as adults, we do a lot of things for other people. And what I mean by that, it's not always just like, oh, someone asks you. We are constantly either pleasing other people or doing what we're told by those who are above us. And so there's not a lot of time for us to do what we enjoy doing. Like, for example, this woman here, she's out there in the gym right now. She is working it. She is doing what she loves. Yeah, I'm talking about you. But I mean, in all honesty, a lot of us are stuck in this mentality of going day to day, doing what we're told. It's become a schedule for us to where we don't even think about it. We're subconsciously just wake up and we start going down the freaking Groundhog Day, doing the same thing over and over. Lawrence, I see it in your eyes. What you want to say?
Well, a couple of things. One, I want to say, I think you should, you're being a little too hard on yourself. I think you can give yourself some grace because when it comes to military or any, branch of the military, because I was in the Army, it's hard to break away from that programming simply because it's all about your environment. What was that? Oh, anyway, you're surrounded by it. Your environment, motivates you to maintain that mentality. So I was like that too. And it took a lot for me to separate myself from that mentality and regain who I was. I think it's important to have, like the brother was saying before, a good foundation of oneself and not allow it to be shattered by the expectation of conformity. That's all I was going to say.
Okay.
That's all I was going to say.
See, I
Give
wish
yourself some grace.
I wish I knew you back then. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was ready to bust heads. Like I was like, nah.
Oh no! Don't get it twisted. I busted a lot of heads. I went in a private, left a private. So trust me, I am not the ideal, be all you can be in the Army. Oh no! I challenge everybody and everything.
That's the thing though. Like I went in, I ended up getting meritorious corporal, and then I got was going on for the board for meritorious sergeant, but I ended up picking up sergeant regular. And I ended up getting to Washington State, and then all of a sudden it's like I became a shitbag. And then I ended up getting out the Marine Corps as a lance corporal, but picked up corporal again like a couple months later, after I was out. But it was just interesting at the fact that, and I looking back right now, I would have to say that's when my little curse started of every time that I speak up about shit that is wrong, I always end up being made an example.
Mm.
Because I mean, literally, all the you witnessed the last situation I went through, and even in the Marine Corps, I spoke up about what the first sergeant was doing, and then with that, he wanted to prove his power against me, end up hacking some of my shit, and therefore creating evidence. And I'm just like, okay, that's invasion of privacy, but all right, cool. I was like, did you see my dick swinging that I sent to my wife too? But whatever. Oh, he didn't like that joke.
Wow.
So it was when I got out the Marine Corps, like nobody defended me while everything was going on. But when I got out the Marine Corps, everybody was like, that was fucked up what happened. And then the CEO who actually ended up imposing this onto me, he actually wrote me a letter of recommendation, which I was like, okay, so how are you going to try and make an example out of me while I was in? But then as I'm getting out, you give me a letter of recommendation.
Because he was just crossing T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah, but I was just like, that's messed up.
Saving face.
I was like, that's messed up. But then at the same time, I'm like, you tried to kick me out the Marine Corps for going to a rave that at the last minute you said we couldn't go to, even though I already spent like $300 at port. Now with that, then literally I'm out the Marine Corps. I see all these Marines who I worked with before at another rave at the Gorge. And they're like, yeah, the CO allowed us to go to raves. I was like, are you fucking serious? But of course, I was the bad person, right? But it was funny because, again, as that shit's hitting the fan, nobody says anything. But then when it's all done, everybody wants to say something to you personally. And now you know, Sigma, why I was very upset. And I was like, I recognize the pattern. Nobody would say anything at the time, but then afterwards, people always end up doing the whoop-de-woo, and it's like, where your ass was at when I needed you then, baby. But it's wild. But yes, I literally became the Marine Corps, and like you said, I reached a point to where when I started realizing, you know what, this is not me, and I started finding my peace again, that's when I became the enemy of the state.
I hear you. I get it. It's because it starts to wear like a coat that ain't yours. A wet coat that is not yours. It's like, what do I got this on for? Why am I drudging through life like this? This don't belong to me, you know? But I think all in all, my wife said it very, very clearly. Make sure your election and calling is sure. And what was the other part? Your gift will make room for you. And that's the truth. That's the long and the short of it. It's
say that one more time.
Make your
calling and election sure, and your gift will make room for you.
We need to put that on a t-shirt.
Be sure about who you are, and who you are will make room for you, and it will. And it's
go
ahead. No, you're good.
No. I don't want to interrupt you. You was on a roll. All I was going to say was, on top of, what they said, which I 100% agree with, I would also add, pay attention and be mindful of your audience as well as your environment. Because the one thing I've learned about the military is being an intellectual to a bunch of drones does not mix well, kind of like oil and vinegar. You have to be mindful of who you're talking to and make sure you're not wasting your time as well as your gift on those that I'm not going to say are unworthy, because I believe everyone is worthy. I just believe that it's all about timing. They might not be where they need to be at to receive this blessing or this gift or whatever it might be that can help them. They're just not.
I suck at timing. People tell me all the time, like they'll come back later on after they curse me out, whatever. They're like, you know what? That's not what I wanted to hear at that time, but that's what I needed to hear. Like that's not what I wanted.
You suck at timing, or you just don't have no patience? Because there's a difference.
I like the timing of when I say the things. Like they might not be where they need to be at that moment to really understand the message. But then later on, it ends up crossing their mind when I said it, and they're like, oh shit. You know how like sometimes you watch a movie, you go back and watch it again, and you're like, aha.
You plant seeds. That's what you're trying to say. Plant seeds.
I plant seeds, but get cut the fuck out or either start fights when I plant.
Well, again, it's all about those people not being ready to receive it. Just to show some kinship with you, Lee. More times than not, I am always demonized, simply because it's easier to demonize me than to be accountable for your own actions that put you in the predicament that you're in. More times than not, that lacks
One more time for those in the back.
that also lacks a certain level of maturity as well as experience. One of the things I put on the chat is because you said something that was very profound, but I also want to give some clarity to it. You had mentioned that and I'm paraphrasing, sir. In your age, you've gained a lot of wisdom, and about things that you've learned and things that have made you who you are, which I 100% agree with. However, I would challenge that and says it can't just be age, but it has to be age and experience that creates wisdom. Because more times than not, I'd have made a lot of grown ass children,
Exactly.
okay, that have no experience, but because I see them because they just refuse to live outside of their comfort zone. Which, who am I to challenge them if their comfort zone is giving them everything they need?
I agree.
Before we lose track. Oh, you changed the question already. Damn, I didn't even get a chance to answer. I didn't get a chance.
I took your response to put it down there since you brought it back up again.
Okay, I wanted to go back to the question because I didn't get a chance to answer the question. I was waiting for my turn to answer the question, but then everyone's going to tirade. So I'm going to get. You had the question before you put that on. It was something. What was the question? You just had it before.
We've been answering questions all night, boss.
It was right. Yeah, he's about to say it. Yes.
Okay, the one that she actually answered.
Yes, I let her answer.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I let her answer, and then I was going to answer, but I never got a chance to because we got on a
How would you describe the life that's being shoved onto us by those in power?
Yes. I want to answer that if I may. Okay. How would you describe the life that's being shoved into you by those with power? I'm going to say it is the one word that comes to my mind, it's hardship. It's a hardship. However, it welcomes a certain level of challenge that I've learned to appreciate to help me better myself and grow. I'm a strong believer that, what's that old saying? Iron only sharpens iron, and you can't sharpen a cutter cutting through butter.
No.
I believe that these things that are put onto us are the things that are. What's up?
I love y'all old sayings.
Well, that one's older than me. I think one of my great grandfathers said that shit. But I appreciate challenge that makes me stronger. That's beneficial towards me. What I can't jive with is ignorance and thoughtlessness just for the sake of ignorance and thoughtlessness. And more times than not, a lot of people in my environment or that I indirectly surround myself with lack a lot of guidance as well as vision. So to answer your question in a nutshell, how would you describe the life? I would say it issues challenge to those who welcome it, and it segregates those that thrive for comfort in their conformity.
Now let's make it a little more personable. How would you describe your life that's being shoved onto you by those in power?
I'm in an interesting position working in the private sector, doing the business that I do, because again, it's just, I'm speaking from my own experience, okay? And it's purely anecdotal. I would say knowledge is power. And the one thing about me being the privileged position I'm in, being a private investigator, is everyone has secrets. So I'm always in the know. So I always have to be mindful of the things I learn about people and be able to compartmentalize who they are versus who they want to be and what they're ashamed of. So when it comes to power affecting me, again, it comes back to perception. Is this person that is projecting this power really powerful in the sense that they believe? And more times they're not. Does that break it down? Does that make sense?
Well, I'm a weenie, so you ain't got to look too far into that. Yeah, that does make sense, and I mean that is a very powerful statement, honestly. That is a very powerful statement. I mean, if you actually go in and break that down, because everybody is trying to be something else than what they are, or either
Sure.
what they were in the past. And I
Yep.
mean, there's a saying that says every day you should be striving to be at least 1% better than you were the day before, and which means that over time you're constantly going to be someone completely different than you were years ago.
You're giving people too many credit. You're giving people too much credit. I would say in a nutshell, more people. No. You're still giving them more credit. I think people are faking it until they make it. That's it. They're just faking.
That's
but
the
it
whole
doesn't.
thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They're
like,
faking it.
At the same time, everybody has two wolves inside of them.
Okay.
So it's like
that is true.
No matter how good you try to be, there is a possibility that you can snap and reverse.
But is that a matter of perception or a matter of fact? Because if you were to snap, like using the example you said about the military, if you were to snap on those that were working against you in the military, some people would say it was righteous. Some people would say it was unconstitutional. So
that's
it's all about perception.
How we were talking about before with the universal laws, and there is no good or evil. It's all of
they're concepts. I believe they're concepts.
But that's what happens when you're conforming to those ideas. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If we're larger, we're literally larger than life, as we know it here on Earth. We're larger than that completely. But
sure,
I think the greatest thing I've ever heard someone say is you cannot put deity in a box, because you're shrinking them to a size that won't begin to fill your needs, because all you're seeing them is in this box. And maybe you'll try to look in there to see he can't do anything in that sense, because you're only seeing them in this little small space. And the reason why some people do that is because of traumatic experience, things that the places that they grew up, people that they've encountered, things that happened to them. So their whole idea of living has been completely jolted. So to you said it earlier, we start out, it almost is the case that we start out this way, because the houses that we live in, the people that we're raised by, are teaching us something that is completely less than who we actually are because of where they are. So
let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, let me ask you this, okay? Mm-hmm. So what are some positive ways to break somebody out of that social norm? Not social norm, that sense of comfort.
Solution. Here we go.
I know a few. But go ahead. I want to hear yours.
Self-love is the number one. It's the beginning. You have to love yourself. They have to know who they are, or begin to understand who they are, or taught who they are, or they have to begin to trust themselves, because right now they don't. So to listen to them, to love them regardless of who they are and what they've done, to give them what they don't get, which is an open arm, a listening ear, and the education of where to begin to look, and that's inside of yourself.
Man, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah. I strongly disagree, but that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful.
It depends on where you come from. If you come from a place, I always come from this place. The reason why I come from this place is because this is where it was born for me. I hit every branch coming down. I was not taught anything. Everything was School of Hard Knocks. So everything you're hearing is from the basis of that. I needed someone to hear me. I needed someone to. Go ahead.
No, everything you're saying. Here's what I'm saying. Everything you're saying. Again, this is where I disagree. I believe that everything that you're saying, first of all, it's fact. It is. We all need those things. But I think those are byproducts of the results that comes from. It comes after what you're saying comes after the aftermath. Pretty much, when you start off, the thing that pushes you towards that mentality of separating yourself or segregating yourself from that comfort zone, after it's all said and done, you get all the wisdom. What you just said is what comes out. Okay.
Right.
In my experience, I'm sorry to cut you off. In my experience, I would say the things that immediately put you towards that path, okay? And again, immediately, okay? Fear, 100% fear.
Right.
Isolation through segregation or separation or being exiled, okay? A lack of connection.
Right.
Because more times than not, when we're trying to discover ourselves, if we have the conformist mentality, we try to branch off to other people's perception on what is right.
Right.
Instead of focusing on what is correct. And that's something I always talk about. There's a difference between right and correct. So those three things I mentioned immediately puts you in this state of discontentment. It's like, okay, I have nothing. Or you believe you have nothing when the truth is all you have is yourself. And once you adopt that mentality and embrace it, you realize that's all you've had to begin with. And it starts to open your mind to new concepts and ideas on how you perceive yourself based on the person that you want to be. At the end of the day, and I'm just speaking for me, at the end of the day, I wanted to be somebody that people can feel safe around, and whatever that means. Unfortunately, that's the same mentality my dad had. He was a protector. He was someone that you were around him, you felt safe, you felt secure, he took care of you and everything like that. Unfortunately, he used all that to be a pimp, which again, those are great principles to have as a pimp. But now that it is. No, when you think about it, protection, strength, take care of your bitches. But when I sit there and think about it, no, I want to be someone that people can rely on, that, can provide a sense of safety and security, as well as growth, guidance, and understanding. That's genuine without a sense of, without feeling like it's an agenda. I don't have an agenda. So after, I had to learn to build that up. And every person I've met on that path to their own self-discovery and growth that is aided in my own, development has been more than welcome. And I've been able to embrace those things with a new mindset. I was able to listen. I was able to embrace new ideas. I was able to love myself in a healthy way that separates my ego from my need to be accepted, if that makes sense. So that's why I agree. I disagree, but I agree with it at the same time. That makes sense.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Nice Guy. Being the devil's advocate always.
Oh man, no, never that. Never that.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah. In all honesty, I'm like, you brought up good points, and like I said, everybody has their own reality.
Yes.
So when it comes down to it, that's one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing these panels, because we all see things differently.
Yes.
Plus, at the same time, the people that I bring onto the panel, I've already pretty much vetted them, and I know that they have communication skills to where they can talk to an individual even if they don't agree with them, and they're not trying to force somebody to see their side.
Absolutely. I don't believe in that.
I really appreciate you for that, because
there's listening and then there's enforcing your will. I don't like that.
I love your effective communication. I thank you for that. So
thank you.
And I mean, you came in respectfully with the disrespectfully. Nah. No.
Honestly, it sounded beautiful.
That is beautiful. I completely disagree.
It did sound beautiful, though. I was like, man, that is very beautiful, man. If I was a 13-year-old boy, I would receive that in a way that would guide me towards the light.
Right. You're absolutely right.
But
that's why I serve. You're right.
I was like, man.
Youth and young adults. Youth and young adults. That's it. That's who I serve. And disadvantaged youth and young adults, people with mental health disabilities, all of the above. And that's my approach. My approach is silence the first day I meet them, complete silence, because I don't want to add anything in out of my thoughts and into their head. I want to hear what the hell's happening with them. So
allow them to be their own individual.
Exactly, and that's the beginning of that. So it's 13-year-old.
Oh no, we're just looking at it.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't saying nothing. Someone was trying to come in. Yeah.
But yeah, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was saying that he wasn't saying nothing. He was saying he was sorry because of the noise in the background.
But yeah, that's who I am. That's why I'm who I am, because that's the population I serve, and that's what I've realized people actually need. Someone to listen.
With that, we have gone about 15 minutes over, which is fine because I mean we're on CPT time. I think what I might have to start doing is just be like, 6:45, so that way at 7:00 we actually everybody be here and we get started. This is gonna be every Friday, and I have the topics for all the way up to March 1st already. And then with it, I want to start adding some more topics. So what I want to try and do is just go ahead and get a topic calendar for like the month and put that out. Well, I can't really do for the month, but at least for like the next 2 weeks. So that way we can be tracking, and then people can be like, hey, that topic seems best. Let me hop on that, or either so they can just listen in the comments and everything. I'm doing a thing where at the end of each episode, we all just pretty much talk about what we learned or what we got from it, or what we're grateful for, showing gratitude. So with that, I'll let you go ahead and go first, nice guy.
Yes, thank you, because I got to get going soon. I just want to say that I appreciate the different ideas, thoughts, and concepts that are being shared. And regardless if I agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, I am thankful to be in a privileged position to absorb as much knowledge as I can without and feeling like I have to take on these principles as my own. So you've created a safe place for ideas, and I look forward to the next one.
Oh, hey Sam, can you hear us?
What's happening?
Good. I'm not sure if you heard how I like to end it. Oh God.
I've been hearing everything.
Okay. With it, like, what you got from the episode, or either like showing gratitude.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I like to end the episode with whatever you got from the episode, or either just end with gratitude, something you thank you for.
Shit, I'm thankful that I was able to make it as far as today. See how you set this up. Definitely going to be coming on more. I love that everybody was able to speak their mind, speak their truth, and all of us are able to learn, like he was saying, learn from it, even if we agree or disagree.
Right.
And I love the fact that everybody's showing respect, because this day and age, there's never no damn respect. You know what I'm saying? And that's everywhere you go, anything you be on, social media, not social media. So I'm just grateful that I was able to make it today, hear all you guys, meet some new people, and of course, see my best friend. I see you doing good, bruh.
Hey, only can get better.
Facts. So I'm just grateful, man. Like, I have been feeling a little down lately, so this live has helped me to keep the motivation going. Keep getting what I want to get out of life, and just letting me know that it's okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. And with me being young, and in the generation I'm in, the older people that are on here, it's just really helping me to truly love myself. You know what I'm saying? Because the stuff that's on social media now and the ideal woman that they put out has brought so many of us down as Black women, African women, any ethnicity. Like we're going from the mental down to the shape of us and everything.
Right.
And the suicide rates are so high.
Exactly.
just because of what people put out there nowadays. So I really appreciate you guys and this live, and just all around grateful, really.
Yeah, you about to try and make us see water out our eyes and stuff. Hey, come back. Somebody was trying to say hi to you.
Oh. Whew, man, I'm tired. Hi. Man, I'm over here trying to catch a breath.
I don't know if you want some mac and cheese. Like you trying to work it off still.
Man, you know I want some mac and cheese, bro. I'll go ahead and work that off later, man.
Hey, but let me go ahead. So, what did you learn, or what are you thankful for? What do you have gratitude?
I'm thankful for the energy. Again, that's always kind of the basis for me. It's talking to like-minded people and people that are on this path of spirituality and beginning to understand who they are, or learning who they are and how powerful they are. I think that's the most important thing. And every time someone talks and says something that I don't know, it's something I pull in and dissect for myself to make myself better, so I'm grateful for that piece, and I'm just glad. I'm thankful for this platform. I say this all the time, but I'm really grateful for the platform as well, and for everybody that gives their input. I think it's a great thing.
And with that, we have come to the end of another episode of Divine Time. I'll go ahead and I'm always going to leave with gratitude, because I mean, I've learned so much, and I feel like that would just end up going into more time into another episode, honestly, if I speak things I learned. Because I mean, I'm not even going to go down there, but yes, there's always a lot of jewels that are being dropped in each episode.
Right.
With that, I'm just going to leave with gratitude. I am thankful for everybody who was able to make it on tonight. I love each and one of y'all. Like, I'm so happy at the fact that even though a lot of times I feel alone, I'm able to come on here and I'm just like, you know what? I made some great connections with great individuals. And if there's ever times where I feel that I'm alone, it's like I always can feel the warmth of someone who is thinking of me or is thought of me. And therefore it constantly reminds me. So I thank each and every single one of y'all just for being in my life. And ultimately the reason that I decided to do the podcast ultimately is because of people like y'all. I mean, we all are going through things. We all have gone through things. We still are going through things. And with that, we're able to learn from one another based off of things that we have gone through, the way our outlook is on life, and how we often turn situations around. And hearing y'all stories and how y'all think about things brings a new light into the way that one may think. And that right there ultimately can just shift the reality of an individual and almost quantum leap them into something else to change everything that they were doing before. So, I mean, you never know how you're impacting another person's life by just showing up. You don't even have to show out. You can just show up. I mean, for example, Sam just being in the gym right now, if anybody watches the video later on, that might motivate them to be like, you know what, I need to work out more. I mean, it's Walter Sigma, with you just being on here. I'm like, you passing that knowledge. I'm like, you look over here looking like a black Santa Claus, but it's like you're giving gifts nonstop. Like Nice Guy came on and he looks at both sides of everything. So he's able to relate to the good, he's able to relate to the bad, but yet at the same time, he's a perfect example of choice.
There you go. Exactly.
And I'm just like, I love the fact that we have all these different types of wonderful people, wonderful beings coming together, showing all these different sides. And like how Sam said, she was like, it's nice to know that it's okay to be yourself, because we're living in a time where a lot of people don't even know who they are. and therefore they start to become a chameleon and trying to be whatever they're around, just to feel that they fit in, because they're so used to needing to be something for someone else.
Mm.
But yes, with that, I stop. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Boom.